Okay, so a while back I had a problem with hang time. This is hang time. One of the sensors was stuck on and it wouldn't go turn off. I tried adjusting it with a little adjuster screw and it still wouldn't turn off, so that meant that the sensor was actually bad. So if you didn't know, with this game you can actually just cut the sensor out because it has so many sensors. The game will still work even with one less sensor. It'll still work with two less sensors. It'll still work with three less sensors. It'll actually even work with one sensor as long as they're standing in front of that sensor. Obviously, one sensor would be bad, but you get the picture. Anyway, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna replace this one sensor that I cut a while back. We're gonna put a new one on there. Well, the new ones are a lot different. The new ones actually come apart now, so you can actually screw the actual harness back on, so you don't have to actually cut it. So it looks like this now. So now I just got to cut this, splice it onto the wire harness that's right here, and then whenever this particular sensor goes bad, I could just unscrew it without having to cut the wire again, and then replace the sensor. Eventually all these sensors will be replaced with this new style sensor. So let's go ahead and remove the old sensor and get started. Alright, so got the sensor on. You can see right there, it's back on. It's ready to be, screwed into. So what we have here is we have a lot of cable. We're just going to attach it to this cable right here. This cable's already kind of almost there, so we're just going to strip this back, expose the wires. I cut this shorter and then strip it back to expose the wires, and then we're just going to match the wires. We're going to go brown to brown, blue to blue, and black to black. We're going to be using these little heat shrink solder combination things. You just got to use a heat gun, heat it all up, and as it shrinks, it actually melts the solder in there and solders everything quite nicely. And of course, I'm going to heat shrink the whole entire thing so that way it stays covered. So let's cut the cable down to size so we don't have a large amount, and let's get this done. All right, so we got it all soldered together. So what I did here is I have each wire individually soldered and shrink wrapped, and then I put a little bit of shrink wrap over the whole thing and shrink wrap it. Not my greatest job, but I do plan on folding this like this, wrapping it with tape, and then of course it's going to be hidden inside its own loom here, or wire loom, and then I'll put everything back together. So let me go ahead and finish that up, and we'll turn on the game and test it out. Okay, so it's all back together now. As you can see, it's been screwed on. It's all zip tied. It's all hidden. Looks nice. So next step from here is to turn the game on and test it. Make sure that the little lights on the board don't stay stuck on. If something's wrong with the sensor, if the sensor is bad, one of these lights will stay on. So let's go ahead and turn it on, see what happens. Okay, so the game is on now. As you can see, we have our little LED lights on there, right there, and over here, no lights. Same thing on the bottom. We got them right here, we got them over there, and over on this side, no lights. You'll know when something is wrong, one of the sensors goes bad. Hopefully I'm on the right side. Hold on a second. See the little light? That's me putting something in front of the one sensor, the first sensor. So if something was wrong, that sensor would stay lit up and the game would malfunction. So what needs to be done from here is you either need to replace the sensor with a new one or just cut it. That way it's not on, the game will think that the sensor's not there, and the game will work just fine. So that's it. So that's how you're gonna update the new sensors to this new style. That's gonna be a whole lot better, because now all I gotta do is just unscrew this, remove the sensor, put a new sensor back on, screw this back down, good to go. I no longer need to cut the wire harness and splice it back in. I will eventually for the other ones, but for that one I won't need to. So hopefully these will go soon, then I can replace those, or I can just start replacing them regardless. But I try to let these parts work until they die. Anyways, thanks for watching.